Good morning, y'all. Fuzzy Biker here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage. Today we are going to do the 50,000 mile review on this hot rod Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. I'm pretty proud of that bike. Pretty proud of the accomplishment. I can't believe how well it's performed. It did far better than I ever expected. It's showing no signs of weakness. It's just been an absolute treat. It's been, well, 50,000 miles. I've gone to, I'm very proud of the fact that I've taken this bike to the Arctic Circle. We've done the Alpine Highway. I've been to all 49 states. I haven't been to Hawaii because I can't find a road to go there. But, you know, it's just been a fabulous machine. Over that time, I've gotten an average of about between 50 and 60 miles a gallon. When I get on the interstate, I drove home from Denver a couple days ago, 670 miles, I think, and I got 50 miles a gallon average. When we did Alaska, we did Canada and Alaska, until I hit the US border and got higher speeds again, I think I was averaging 62 miles a gallon. When I ride with Colorado Mark out in Colorado, we ride a lot rougher roads and a lot slower. We might get in the high 60s, low 70s. And I mean, it's just been a fabulous bike in that sense. So a little bit about what the bike is for those of you that don't know. It's Royal Enfield's ADV adventure bike. It's an adventure bike. As far as adventure bikes go, it's a pretty lightweight machine, you know, in the realm of the adventure bike world. You know, it's not a dual sport. Dual sports are lighter, of course, but dual sports are not as comfortable on the highway. This is a bike you can ride 1,000 miles, and I have, to get to dirt and ride a bunch of dirt, like in Colorado, and then turn around and ride 1,000 miles home. The bike is 452 cc's, single cylinder, liquid cooled, dual overhead cam, 4-valve engine, just about as bulletproof an engine as I've ever seen. Redline is about 8,000 RPMs, and this bike has lived at that, you know, there and above for quite a long time, for, you know, many miles. It's got a 6-speed transmission. I'm very proud of that, or very amazed. I'm amazed at that transmission in that it works. You know, we've done Colorado BDRing with it. We've done, you know, again, the Alcan and the, you know, the road to the Arctic, the Haul Road, I think it's called. You know, it does fine on those roads. It does fine on 2-lane blacktops. It does fine on, you know, the interstate. You know, it just, how do they make a transmission and an engine that can work in such a wide range in such a, you know, number of environments? You know, this bike is driven through snow. You know, it's driven through desert heat. Well, I did Route 66. I just drove across Nevada on the loneliest highway, Highway 50. I did a bunch of desert in Oregon. Did you know Oregon has a desert? I did not. It does. Amazing. Go visit it. You know, it does all that. You know, it just does everything I could. You know, we've done river crossings with this bike. Am I gushing? Am I gushing? So that's the engine. The engine is just, like I said, rock solid and bulletproof. We've done all the valve adjustments on it. Checks. It's only had one valve adjustment. Valve checks. On a bike like this, you check the valves. If the numbers are need to be adjusted, you have to take the cams out and put these shims in, and, you know, change the shims around. So it's a really big deal to check or to change the valves, or more of a big deal, a couple more hours. But the checks have all been really good. The first 2 checks are at 6,000 miles, and then again 6,000 miles later. After that, it's every 12,000 miles. And the bike has only once needed adjustment. The intakes were a little tight on one of it. I think it was the 3rd check. So the other amazing thing about this motorcycle, among other things, I'm going to start with the beginning, or the front. This whole front end. This is just like I've called it a work of art before. And if you have ridden this bike like I've ridden this, you'd understand what I mean. So it's an upside down fork system. It's got 8 inches of travel, 200 millimeters. It's got this amazing, and you know, this is the standard ADV tire, really. It's a 90/90 21-inch front tire. This is on a tubeless rim, front and rear. The bike did not come with that. We added those. But it's just, you know, you can literally ride over anything on this thing, you know, and I have. You know, if you don't have a road, just point in the direction you want to go and get going, you know, unless there's an obstacle in your way taller than your tire, taller than half the, you know, your axle point, you're probably going to go over it. You may not like the ride, but you'll be able to do it. The tire I'm running on it is a Dunlop Trail Max Mission, and this is another thing. This particular tire right here has 22 to 23,000 miles on it. I put this on right before we went to Alaska. It's not even close to the wear indicators. You know, it's just amazing that it's gone that far. The interesting thing about that is these tires have built-in sound deadening properties and things like that. Those have wore away, so the tire does make a little bit of a hum going down the road. I've wore these out before, and that's happened every time. I have a Royal Enfield Himalayan over yonder. That was my first one. It's got the same tire in the front. Same thing happened. But anyway, this front end is just, I'm in love with it. You know, it's done me so right. 320 millimeter disc brake on the front, dual piston bi-brake caliper. The fender system, it needs a different fender system. We were in Colorado, Mark and I, and he has a big fender that he put on his, and we were doing mudding, and I got a lot of mud on my windshield and a lot of crap on my bike, and he did not get as much. We had the same GV windshield in ours, we both got ours. The conclusion was his fender was hanging down and doing its job better. This was not working that well in that situation. So moving to the rear of the bike, the rear suspension is a monoshock. It's a linked monoshock. The old bike had a link down below. The new one has a link up here. This one has a link up here. If you look down below, when the side stands up or the center stands up, it's a very smooth thing. And that's kind of a desirable thing. So there's 8 inches of travel in the rear. Again, 200 millimeters. It's got the monoshock, like I just said. It's got the 17, I think mine's a 17, is a 150. I think that's what I have on here. I do, it is a 150. Again, a Dunlop Trail Max Mission. It's got a tubeless tire. It's got a 270 millimeter disc brake with a single piston bi-brake caliper. Again, this has the 22 or 23,000 miles on it. And just look at that, you know. Moving on, the seat height, it has a low and a high position. With a stock seat, it's 32.5 inches, which is 825 millimeters. In the high position, which is what I run it in, it's 33 1/3, I believe, which is 845 millimeters. Fuel tank is 4.5 gallons. That is 17 liters. And I think of that 4.5 gallons, I think you can use about 4.3 gallons. If you fill the bike on a side stand, I ran out of, you can go about 4 gallons. If you fill it holding the bike straight up and down, you can go about 4.3. So the bike weighs 430 pounds in stock form. That's about 195 kilograms. Again, not too bad for an ADV bike. Ground clearance is about 9 inches. That's 230 millimeters. So this hot rod has been everywhere. I've had 3 full sets of tires on it over the last 50,000 miles. This is the 5th chain that has been on this bike. So the stock chain, and then I've added, this is my 4th chain that I put on, so 5 chains total. Okay, well, so what have I added to this bike? Let's talk about that. I already talked about the tires, I already told you about the chain. Add-ons that I've done that are, I think I'll talk about what I think is crucial first. One is a large windscreen. Now I had a shorter WRS windscreen. I got all my stuff from Baxter Cycle, by the way, baxtercycle.com. I had a shorter WRS windscreen on here. I loved it. If you're trying to do, you know, 200-mile days or less, that's probably a great windscreen. Before I went to Alaska, Baxter Cycle put this on my bike. It's a great big GV windshield, and I just, it's a real game changer. I can hide behind it in the rain. It keeps the dirt off of me, keeps the pressure off my body, works great. Got these hand guards from 3D Cycle Parts, 3dcycleparts.com. That's their company right there. And I got them from them because they are powder coated black, and I wanted it to match right here. These are double take mirrors. I got these because I rode Colorado Mark's bike. He had them on his. I did a whole bunch of miles on his. I just fell in love with them. Went home and ordered a pair. What I didn't know at the time was that Royal or Baxter Cycle sells the same mirror. It's a Ram mirror, but I would have probably bought it from them had I known that, but I wasn't aware. He's got these bags on the side. Let's see over here where we've got light. I've got, they're molded for the bike. They're made for the motorcycle. I've got a battery pack in here, chain stuff, you know, for chain lube. On the other side, I've got my tire repair kit and some cleaners and stuff like that. So that kind of junk. The bike, I have an old Garmin on here, right here. Let's see what else I can show you here. Oh, Veridian Cruise Control. That's a very big one. We added that when those came out. I contacted Veridian. They sent me one. And that has just been a game changer. That took this bike to a whole nother level, you know, a whole nother level. So things you must have, the windshield, the cruise control. These, I think you really should have, the mirrors. And this box is something that I think, for the way I ride, you know, miles and miles and miles, and you get off at a gas station, want something easy access, I can, you know, just pop it open and, hey, what do I got in there? That's some of my mail I got in the mail. So anyway, you know, it's easy to do, It's also, I don't think it's sold as waterproof, but it's a Royal Enfield product, by the way. I got it from Baxter Cycle also. I don't think it's sold as waterproof, but I have been caught in a lot of rain. I mean, probably 1,000 miles or more of rain overall, and it's never leaked. It's just never leaked. I like it because it's, like I said, easy to get into it. I try to keep lighter stuff in there, but it's also a great place to put stickers. Check all that out. You know, every kind of sticker you can imagine. I'm going to guess that I might have as much money in stickers as I do in box. These are the 49 states that I've been into. Alaska's up here. Canada, I've been to Canada, of course. And what are these places I've spotted Bigfoot? Maybe. You never know. First aid kit up here. Okay, other add-ons. You'll notice I haven't done anything like with the exhaust system. I've got a dead stock exhaust. That's because I go to California and Canada, and I just don't want the problems. I also think the bike has plenty of power. And running over this way, I've got this Tusk bag on there, and that kind of happened by accident. A friend of mine lent me that as a temporary bag. I had bought that Rhino Walk bag over yonder. Let me show you that. This is a Rhino Walk bag that I'd bought for the tank on this bike. And the day I bought that bag, I had this bike. This is my Bear 650. I love that bike. And I said on the back, and hey, that kind of looks good, so I ended up leaving it there. Borrowed this from a friend, and that ended up staying there. And I like this bag a lot for a couple reasons. This is one of the reasons right here. I can stuff my gloves under there. You know, this is another reason here. I got this little pouch back here. Got a little flashlight in there. I use the flashlight to check my oil. I check my oil every day. I check my antifreeze every day. I check my tire pressure every day. That's my tire pressure sensor right there. Can you see that back there? So those are key things. The other neat thing about this, I can charge. There's a USB port right here that comes with the bike. I can charge my, you know, phone and stuff like that in here. You know, I got all kinds of goodies in there. This is a guy from Colombia. Check him out. He rode all over South America, Central America, up to Prudhoe Bay in Alaska, and I think he's going to Europe next. Anyway, I can keep all kind of good stuff in there. To fuel the bike up, I just unsnap these, slide it back, fuel the bike, no problem. While we're up here at the cockpit, let's go ahead and see that. Got a big old TFT, and I'm going to show you that because I think that's one of the really neat features of this bike. It's in black right now. You get on the bright, it turns white, and one of the problems with it, one of the few problems with it, is that in the bright light, when it's white, it has various degrees of brightness. It'll change, and at some of those levels, I have a hard time seeing it. So I'm hoping the Royal Enfield will do a software update where that will, when it's white, and it stays that exact brightness. You know, when it's black like it does here, it stays that exact brightness. So tachometer on the outside, fuel gauge right here, gear indicator, speedometer, time, ambient air temperature, right down there. Look at that, 49,543 miles. Hey, this is supposed to be a 50,000 mile review. I'm going to go camping in a couple days, and that'll be a 1,500 mile trip, and we'll get it over there. But I wanted to get this video done for today. So anyhow, with the joystick over here, I can activate the trip. So trip 1, trip 2, fuel range, consumption, voltage, service due, and engine temperature. So very nice, very nice. Using this button over here, the mode button, watch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get that. You hook your phone to this thing. You can hook your nav up to here. This becomes a map on the top. There's turn-by-turn direction. You can zoom in and out on that map with the joystick over here. The phone you have to leave on. So I have to plug it in when I use that nav system. I have to plug my phone in because the phone gets very hot because you have to leave the phone screen on. You can't close the phone screen. I'm not sure why that is. The nav actually works pretty good. A couple shortcomings on that is it does not show you where, it doesn't show you the speed limit in the area that you're at, like a normal would, and it also does not show you like congestion. On Google, if you use your phone for navigation, it'll show orange or red if traffic is very heavy and things like that. It'll also show you police. This does not do that, but it's a good system overall. I do enjoy using it. While we're talking about the joystick, a lot of people think that joystick is fiddly. I do not think it's fiddly. Now, why is that? Well, it's because I got 50,000 miles on the bike and I've used the heck out of it and I know how it works now. It is fiddly when you're new, and it is kind of hard to use and a little awkward, but they had to pick a system to use, and this is the system they did end up with. And I would say it's actually a very good system. So what do we have here that I can show you? We've got the clutch over here, the home button here, flash to pass, low, high for the lights, the cruise control I already showed you, blinkers, horn, the joystick. Over here we've got the kill switch, run switch, and then you rock it forward like that to start the bike, and then there's the mode switch right there. Over here's the hazard lights, and then that's the brake, of course, and the throttle. It's fly-by-wire throttle, so there's no cable down to the, to the intake or anything like that. The fly-by-wire allows Viridian to make us cruise control. The cruise control, again, one of the best things I've added to this bike. This is set, this is cancel, this is also, once you set it, this is also mile down, mile up. If you hit your brake, clutch, whatever, you get it out, you've been using your cruise control, you want to hit resume, you just hit the top button, it resumes. Great product, love it. Moving back this way, what do I have to show you? Well, by gosh, it's almost all stock. I've got a heat port. I added a heat port for my heated gear. There isn't really a lot I've had to do to this. I've got a stock sump guard, everything is pretty much stock. I put a foot on it so I can park in wider dirt, in soft dirt and stuff a little better. I haven't really had to do a lot to it, and that's another neat thing about these motorcycles. You could take one off the floor, buy yourself a brand new one, add a couple things like a windshield, handguards, mirrors like this, and a box and luggage, and you could go to Alaska and back. It's really that good of a motorcycle. I've just had a ball with it. So let's look at the list here. 50,000 miles, it's 80,000 kilometers, 49 states, Arctic Circle, Alcan Highway, 50 to 60 miles a gallon, 5 chains, 3 sets of tires. Things that have gone wrong. Headlight, I had to replace the headlight, it burned out, and it was under warranty. Center stand, I lost a pin. We put a bolt in it, we ordered a new pin. The speedo, the bike has got a lot of miles, and you can't really see it, I suppose, but if you reach down and grab it, it moves the bushings that are in there that hold it in place. The rubber bushings have worn out. Looking over here, things that they should fix. I think I already talked about the front fender. I think I did already. About the headlight, look at that thing. And the, what else? Oh, the dimming on the speedo, I talked about that. Things you should add, a cruise control and heated grips. Royal Enfield, if you wanted to up the game on what to put on the bike, those are the 2 things you could do, cruise control and heated grips. The bike as it is, at the price point that it is excellent, and I appreciate that, and I understand that. So fix these things for sure. Those would be nice ads. Over here I've got don't change items. The motor, I love the engine on this bike. Very flat torque curve, loads of power, works very well. I love that engine. It's a bulletproof engine. It's a big single with a counterbalance shaft. It's amazing smooth. I go down the interstate on this thing. I came back from Colorado the other day. I set the cruise on 80 miles an hour, and just for 670 miles, just cruised. And I do that all the time. I've done an iron butt on this. I did 1,030 miles in one day. That engine is built like a rock. It really is. The next thing on here is suspension. So the suspension, when Jeremy and I picked this bike up in Utah, he picked one up the same day. We went out riding. We both hopped, the first ride, we both hopped up the bike, looked at ourselves and said, the suspension, we were in the curvies of twisties. We went from Utah to Colorado, that's where we stopped. The suspension is phenomenal. And I don't know how they did that. It's show a front fork upside down, show a shock on the rear. They have just worked magic. They've just worked magic on the suspension on this bike. And, I don't think there are a lot of aftermarket options available for it because people are so happy with the bike in stock form. I'm sure there are aftermarket options. I personally would leave it just as it is. I can run over baby heads, stair steps, and ledges, no trouble all day long in the rough. I can get on the interstate and go right through a pothole. It just doesn't, it just does it really well, really well. Side stand, ha ha ha! I love this one. So when we got these bikes, we all thought the side stand, the bike was leaning. Why is it leaning so much? Oh my goodness, it's terrible. And one of my friends screwed a hockey puck onto it. Another friend of mine put a big chunk of wood on the bottom of it, so when the bike is on it, it really leans. Now, what we've learned, Colorado Mark and I were talking about this just the other day. I was in Colorado with him. And what we've learned is that, you're out in the middle of the rough somewhere and the road's got camber, and in America anyway, where you drive on the right side, you pull off to the side, you put your kickstand down. Well, the bike, it doesn't lean as much because the road is leaning, road leans like this. The bike is like this, the side stand, you know, it works really, we've learned to love it is what I'm saying. We've learned to really love it, really learned to appreciate it. It's hard to get the bike off the sides, and I've heard people say that. It's hard to get the bike off the sides, and you're right, it is. So when I get on the bike, I automatically use my momentum to get the bike, you know, I hop on it in one smooth move to get up on its tire. So I have learned to love that side stand. TFT, we talked about that. I love the TFT. I think it's a great product. You know, those little improvements that I talked about would be great. Warranty. This bike has a 3-year unlimited mileage, and we're testing that right now. Warranty. So 3 years. I had the bike a year and a month now, just a little under that, and I've got 50,000 miles on it. I've got at least 15,000 more miles of riding plan for this year. You know, we're just going to see where that goes. Did I mention it? Yeah, I did. The TFT on the tires and tubeless rims. Yeah, so warranty is excellent on this thing, and I just love it. It says ergos, great ergos. I got to mention that. You know, another thing that they should never change on this is the ergonomics. I sit relatively upright. I can stand up and down on the pegs. It's made for off-roading, you know, so you can do that. I ride so many miles. I'll go down the road and I'll be doing my squats. Just what you wanted to think about, right? And, you know, it just works really well. The handlebars are very neutral. They reach to me about as much as I reach to them. It's a very comfortable place to be. I hope they never, you know, I hope if they change it for the better, but just don't change it. Leave it alone, you know, leave it alone, by golly. How much more can this bike take? So we're at 50,000 miles. When I was in India, I talked to, we went to India to the Chennai to the factory. We went to the R&D department where they test these bikes. They have bikes on rigs. You wouldn't believe what they do to these bikes. And I asked the guy, how far should I expect this bike to go? He said they test them to 100,000 kilometers. We are at 80,000 kilometers right now. 50,000 miles is 80,000 kilometers. 100,000 kilometers is about 62,000 miles. I think we're going to reach that this year. You know, I've got a lot of riding planned. So, you know, we're going to reach the tested limits of the bike. Have they tested it farther? Not that I know of. I don't know. We are going to test it farther. I'm going to take it right up to 60 in the next month or so. After that, I'm just going to keep going, you know, and I'll do videos, and as things start to happen, and things will start happening, you know, they have to, right? It's a 452cc motorcycle, single cylinder bike. I've been using it like it's a 1200, you know, I've been using it like a highway bike in a lot of cases. I've been using it as a dirt bike in the rough, you know, it's done everything. And so it has to start showing wear at some point, and I'll report about that. You know, that is something that's going to happen. So nothing has happened so far that shows any sign of wear that is of any, you know, the engine still has plenty of power. The suspension still works great. Nothing seems to be rattly or loose except for the speedometer. You know, so all that in that sense, it's solid as a rock yet. But things have to catch up with us over time. You know, so the next month or so, we're going to try to get to 60,000, 62,000, 100,000 kilometers. That's going to be a really big milestone for that. And after that, we'll just keep riding it. You know, my plan originally was to trade this off at a year. Well, 1 year, and I just love this bike. I fall in love with this motorcycle. This particular one, the model itself, the Himalayan model, Himalayan 452, and then this particular motorcycle. So I'm just going to keep riding it, and we will, you know, we'll take it to 60, we'll take it to 70, we'll take it to 80. You think it'll really go that far? I mean, really? I mean, that's a lot of miles, and you know, 90,000, 100,000. Will it go that far? I just don't know. I just don't know. But we are going to find out. You know, hang on to your hat. We're gonna take it out, and I'll report on what goes. So, what do you all think will go? You know, what do you all think will go? What's things I expect are at some point the forks are going to leak, right? I mean, at least that, right? Front forks. At some point the stator. You know, I use heated gear. At some point that might go, you know, and the charging system, the stator's part of the charging system. You know, what kind of things, you know, how about the timing chain, you know, things like that, you know, they just can't spin forever. And the bike, I got asked this the other day, what am I running going down the road? When I'm going 70 miles an hour, I'm tacking 6,100 RPM. The bike has a 8,000 mile red line, 8,000 RPM red line. And so I'm running at 75% of power at 70, and I run 75 and 80 a lot. I mean, a lot. You know, if the interstate speed is 70, I go 75. If it's 75, I go 80. You know, so it gets put to it and it does it just fine. Now, if y'all are interested in newer used Royal Enfield like this, Himalayan, any kind of Royal Enfield, new Triumph, old Triumph, classic British bike, need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, coats, jackets, helmets, gloves, any of that stuff. I get all my stuff at Baxter Cycle. I want to throw this in real quick. I want to thank them. They do all my maintenance on this thing, and they do stellar work. And we have been doing normal maintenance, and I appreciate them doing it. The normal oil changes, valve checks, nothing extraordinary. But I want to thank them for their top quality work. When I used to be a mechanic, I used to do my own motorcycle maintenance, and it seems to me it works better when they do it because they are very aware of what's going on with these new models and what they are. Anyway, enough of that. Go to BaxterCycle.com in the mighty mini metropolis of Marnie, Iowa. If you've never been to Marnie, Iowa, get yourself over there. They've got Bigfoot Hill and Motorcycle Park and Derailed Grill and the Vintage Motorcycle Museum in the back room. They don't call it a museum, but I do. Anyway, get yourself over there or go to BaxterCycle.com. Make sure you tell them that Fuzzy Biker from Fuzzy Biker Garage sent you. Hey, stick with us. 50,000 miles. We're going to go to 60. If it'll make it, do you think it'll make it? Life is good, my friends. Get off the couch. Get out of that easy chair. Get out there and live it. Wahoo!
You're going to be good. Keep the greasy side down.
Wahoo! Vermont? Wahoo!
Wahoo, Alaska!